How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another coloring tutorial with me, Vorendor. Ching. I don't know. But yeah, welcome back. We're going to be coloring one of my favorite, well, my favorite character from the Nintendo universe, Wario. That's my favorite. I know Waluigi has a following, but Wario, that's my boy. Him. This tubby guy, my guy. Alright? So we're going to color him. He's a little bit more, I guess, he has more colors than the ones that we had done before because we had Mega Man, then we had Mario and Luigi. All of those only had, either all blue or two colors, and that's it. He also has the two colors, but he has a different nose color, and then we still have blue accent, bluish accents. Yeah. So yeah. Also, before we continue, remember that you can always find the line art for what we're going to be coloring in the video in the description below. Okay, Wario. He has a bit more colors than the other ones just because I guess it's Wario, right? We're going to start with canary yellow. This is going to be our yellow for the shirt and the hat. And for any area of the picture that we're coloring, we're going to first apply a flat layer of color all over the picture. Now we're going to move to mulberry as the purple. I'm 80% sure of how this is going to turn out, but yeah, so hopefully it works. We'll see. All right, done with purple. I kind of applied too much over there, but it's fine. Also, only doing this drawing, I noticed that Wario has white buttons on his little overalls. For some reason, I thought it was always going to be also yellow, but I guess since his shirt is yellow, not yellow. Anyways, now onto the other color that we're going to use for his outfit, green. Well, this is grass green. Oh man, there you go. Grass green. Bam, done with green. So Wario has two types of blues in on him. This one is going to be more like an indigo blue, and then on the side of his, at the corner of his eye, he has like a similar to the non-photo blue that I use for other pieces. But I wanted to keep it simple, so I chose violet blue, just because I went towards something closer to the W, and I didn't want to have more than one blue. I just want to keep it as simple as possible. What I'll do is just put very lightly some blue there to give it a little bit of a blue. All right, now we're going to use pink for his nose. This is just pink, regular pink. This is the first character that has a very distinct nose. Okay, so now we're going to do skin. The skin color is going to be made up of two pencils, and they are light peach and cream. They don't have to be exactly what I have, but this is what I'm using. I use both of these because the cream color is a little too yellow for a skin tone, and then the pink is just too pink or too red for the skin tone. So I find that combining these two gives you a very good tone for like pale skin. So it doesn't really matter what you put first. You're just going to put a light layer of it first. Okay, and now I'm going to apply the other one, that's cream. Again, you don't have to put the cream first. It's just whatever you want to do. I've done it both ways and they both work. And you're just gonna have to apply a little bit on it and see how it looks. It's very pale, but you can see it. My lights make it more pale because they're white lights. But in normal situations at home, you would have it look correct. And also the cool part about using these two colors for this skin tone is that you can adjust it. So like right now, I noticed that I do need a bit more, like a richer layer of it on the paper. So I can apply a bit more of the cream, knowing that you're gonna get more yellow. But you can now apply more pink to counteract it, and in that manner you make the layer richer with pigment. So when you put the water on it, you have a richer tint on the paper. All right, there you go. So now I have to apply a bit more of the light pink. And this one, you can just regulate how much you're applying based on how it looks. Lastly, we're going to use the brown for the little bit of hair that he has on the side. And there you go. That's all of the base colors. Now what I'm going to do is going to use the same colors that I used for each of the areas, and I'm going to apply more pressure to the pencil on the areas of the picture that would be shaded, that don't receive direct light from your light source. So this is going to be richer here. So there you go. Underneath his, I'm going to apply it underneath the face. Anything that's either covered by something on the top or is not receiving direct light from the light source, which right now for me is going to be directly on top, more or less directly on top, somewhere on the top. After everything is as good as you want it to be, as covered as you like to have it, you can put everything away. Do one more pass to see. Oh, we forgot the nose. The nose gets also another coat of pigment or color. I don't know if it's pigment or not. I may be wrong. I haven't checked. I'll check. All right, so now we have the bottom, and then even it out. And now you can see that you already have like pretty much what Wario looks like. All right, we're going to be using a number 3 brush because it's a small picture, so we don't have to use anything bigger. And our handy dandy water. All right. I'm gonna let it soak for a bit just to make sure that it has water inside it. Then drain out some of it a little bit like this. And we're going to apply the water first in the yellow area. And now we'll do the purple area. Now we'll do the shoes. And last but not least, his face and nose. All right. Oh wait, forgot the hair. I always forget the hair. For Luigi, which is the one that I did before this one, I forgot his hair, I think, too. And also Mario, which is the one before it. Links up somewhere. There. For Luigi and Mario. It should be there. Luigi and then afterwards Mario. All right, now we're done with the brush. The water is done. Thank you, water. Ah. Last but not least, my favorite part of the whole process, the ballpoint pen. Ballpoint pen is a very versatile pen. It's cheap, but it's great. Since it has a ball bearing of sorts on the tip, the ink has to go through the ball, so the ball rolls and it applies the ink as it's rolling through the paper. And it depending on how much pressure you apply to your line, it'll apply more or less ink accordingly. That's why one of the reasons why I like it. So I mean maybe the main reason why I like it. Okay, so if you think that at this point you're okay with the picture, you don't want to add anything else, I agree with you. It's totally fine. That's why I make the line art like this, so the line art can be used as the final product once you color it. But if you want to go a little bit further and make it look a bit more dramatic, we're going to use the pen. Ballpoint pen, we're just going to go over the lines, all of them. And if depending on how wet your paper is, you may have to wait a little longer before you apply the paint pen. I'm using a pretty thick cardstock, so it soaks up the water pretty well and quick, and I don't have to wait that long. But depending on what kind of paper you're using, hopefully it's watercolor paper, you will have to wait longer for the ink application. And this one we're just going to go all over the lines just to accentuate them and make them darker, making the ones on the shaded area thicker than the ones on top, because the line weight also helps you show shadows. The heavier lines are always going to be on the darker areas, everything that's facing away from your light source. And already starts to look a lot more dramatic. Like the lines are more imposing, and like the shapes come out better. See, like bam, look at that, beautiful. And you see like the dark lines are only on the bottom, so these are thin because everything goes from the top. We're still going to apply some, but we're going to keep it relatively thin, not thick like the one in the bottom. And then, you know, it doesn't matter if it's not, but that's the intent. Afterwards, when we do all the picture, we'll come back around and we're going to apply some cross hatching. On this area, you don't have to make the line any thicker because it will not matter either way. You're still going to have the black mustache that's going to eat away at what your line does. However, if it happens to you like me right now, that you want to fix a shape, so for example, see if this line goes a bit more, I don't know, more horizontal, more diagonal. This one does not, it kind of droops down. So I want to make it a bit more diagonal. You can go over it with your pen and fix that. And then bam. Fixed, see? So I might leave that error there so you can fix it with me. We will apply one on the bottom here though. I like that Wario's ears look like elf ears. I like elves. Okay, so now we're done with the outlining. I like it already a lot more. Oh, we forgot the paper, the shoes. All right, so now that we're done with the outlining of the picture, I like it already a lot more than before. Not that I didn't like it, but again, now we have more defined lines. So I like when we have sharper, like thicker lines. It's cool. Next, what you can do, again, there's another step that you can just step away and call it a day. That's perfectly fine. But if you want to go a bit further, Still going to use the same pen, and what we're going to do is going to apply a little bit of cross hatching around the shaded areas, or the areas that have to have a shadow. And cross hatching is very simple. You're going to move your pen in one direction all around the picture, and then you're going to come back and do this all the same areas but in an opposite direction, in a way that you can have the two lines cross each other. That's why it's cross hatching. So I start off here with vertical lines, and then I'll come in with some angled lines just to darken the areas and give it a bit more of a, I don't know, give the shadows more power. So we're gonna go apply shadows where they belong. Again, everything that doesn't receive direct light gets a shadow. The only area that I do try to kind of like put a little bit on and not to go too crazy is the face. The shadows will originate from where the light is not being cast. So since again my light source is from the top, underneath the face of Wario, there's no light being projected from the top, so it has a shadow from the face onto his body. For the ears, we're going to also apply a bit on the edge like this, but not too much, because then we want to go back here and apply it here so we can make it look like it's going in. A little bit underneath where the visor is. And again, all of it is going to be just vertical lines where in the areas where you think that you're going to need some shadows. And it's all dependent on your light source setup. Mine, once again, is coming from the top. During this time, you can put as much or as little detail as you want. It's all as personal preference. So whatever you see me do is because I just like the way it looks, not necessarily that everything is needed. Then I move around the picture, making sure that I don't forget anything, even though I end up forgetting stuff anyway. I'm gonna put a bit on the teeth, because otherwise they look too flat compared to the rest of the picture. So we're just gonna dab the pen a little bit, just so we can have specks of ink come up, right? And that way you don't have to make the teeth so dark, but still give it a little bit of three dimension, you know? Like they exist in 3D space. Only around the edges. You can put a bit more lines from underneath the nose, because the nose does protrude forward, so it casts a noticeable shadow on the teeth that are underneath the nose. But for the rest of the edges, just keep going with little dabs of your pen. Just little dabs will be enough to get some ink on there. Okay, we do have to put some on the top, because again the mustache also protrudes out over the teeth. So there you go, bam, done. Oh, always forgetting T. I told you, always forgetting some. And even though I say don't forget anything, but I forget, well, does it really count as me forgetting if I'm actually doing it now? Right. I rest my case, Your Honor. I rest my case, Your Honor. All right, so now that everything's done, we look around, and now we're going to start doing it not the opposite direction, but in a direction that's going to cross through the line that's already there. Again, that's why it's called cross hatching. You cross them out. Excuse me. So since this is going vertical and the shape of the hand is going like this, I can do the lines going like this in a diagonal towards the top right, because that angle is good enough to cross the lines that were there already. So if you want to have to shift it around, you can shift it. At this point, you can just move the picture around and make the lines that would help you better define now the contour of the shapes. So if it's a cylindrical shape, you want to move it in a cylindrical manner, like half circle, and that way your shadow helps you tell the viewer what kind of shape you're looking at. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, if you follow the contour, your shapes will look better and they'll have a more 3D look to them when you see them, or anybody sees them. And I'm going to do that for the entire piece. I'm going to just keep turning it around so I can make lines that cross each other, and if I have to add any other shadows as I go, I will, because this will be the final stage of this picture. For example, see this, the longer lines that I'm doing on the overalls, because the light source again is coming from the top, but I want to have this be a bit more cylindrical. His body is not a flat surface, so that's why I'm using these lines more to tell you what the shape is rather than following the light source so closely. But I always try to keep the middle of the brighter spot, that way you can tell that the light is coming like this and then it just kind of falls away. For the shoes, you want to make them darker in the back, so the back of the foot has to be darker than the front. So I use a full line that covers the entire width of the shape. However, as I'm getting towards the front, I'll make them smaller and smaller so that you can show that the light is hitting the top of it. There's a top and there's the edge, and it just got darker because this is underneath his body. So that's how you can adjust your shadows and make your picture more dynamic and more 3D. The more layers you apply, the darker the shadows get. Now I'm just applying a bit of more of the prominent shadows here, or lines, I guess, more lines here, so I can simulate what his body looks like there. And I start with a pretty long one over here, and then start slowly getting smaller and smaller until you go around here. You don't want to go down to 0, but you want to have to keep it smaller on the bottom. It just gives you a better impression as to how the light behaves on his body. And that's it, I think. Let's just look at it once more. Maybe a little bit of here, just so I can kind of like make the shadows behave similar to the bottom. I added a bit over here because there's a drop here, and then it kind of moves over here, so the side is not necessarily getting a direct light. So there's some shadow casting on the side, but not necessarily shadow, it's just less light. So then whatever's facing it, you know, away of the direct light. But yeah, I think that looks pretty okay. Let me just darken it a bit here. Boom. And that's it. That's as much as we're going to do for this guy. He's already done. You could go ahead and add some shadows on the ground. I chose not to because I think it looks nice like this. And we're going to call it a day. That's it. Thank you so much if you came all the way to the end. If you did all the details with me, I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I'm going to keep doing more characters like this. The next one's going to be Waluigi. So Waluigi fans, you will get your Waluigi coming up on Tuesday. So next week. And if you're watching this out of order, it should be linked somewhere in this box. Maybe there. There you go. Put there Waluigi. Waluigi will be there if this is after that. You know. Anyways, thanks again for coming by. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like this content, you want to see more of it. And yeah, I'll see you all later. Thanks. Bye.